put my Listerine in.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Okanagan Real Estate Podcast, your source to buying, selling, and living in the Okanagan. Hosting with me is Marika Soleil. She's coming to you live from Kelowna and also services the West Kelowna and Lake Country area. And I'm your host, Raina Kucheran, your local Penticton and South Okanagan realtor. Today we have a special guest joining us, Ryan Avery, your lifestyle mortgage broker. Ryan works out of Kelowna, but can service anyone across the world. He's extremely well-read, an expert in his field, and an advocate for his clients. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks so much for having me, you guys. Looking forward to this.
We're so excited to have you today. We
should jump in. You can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Fun facts. Okay. Very competitive skier, teach on weekends at Big White. Family, I've got a beautiful wife and a son named Henry. He's a handful, and I just really enjoy what I do. I've had many different career paths over my life, but this one is definitely the most challenging and most rewarding. You probably hear that a lot dealing with brokers and in your past, but that's pretty much a soft touch about who I am.
I think that's pretty right on with us realtors as well. I think, it's bang on.
Okay, cool.
Rewarding, but very challenging sometimes. Yeah. Have many different hats, right?
Yeah.
So
almost like a fireman, putting out fires all the time, aren't we?
Yes, always putting out fires, smoothing things.
It's always exciting.
Yeah. It's always never a dull moment. Every day is different, and you learn something new every deal because you're dealing.
No.
People are all
like that.
different. So
I think that's one of the reasons why it catered to me is the fact that it's not it's very diverse, right? And that's one of the things that really attracted me about the business is no day is the same. It's not like you're in the factory punching a time card, having lunch and doing coffees, and then you go home. As self-employed, that's just another different avenue. Is for us, we're always on, always available.
That's right. And you don't work banker's hours.
No.
You're not like a banker.
Not at all.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I had lunch with Ryan the other day, and he actually told me, which something I didn't know about him is that he's a professional, well, not professional, but I guess professional skier, and teaches at Big White on the weekends. Not now.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I was 16, so not too terribly long, 20 some years. So yeah, I just love it. It gets me out of the office, get my body moving, and I get to meet people around the world. Big White is obviously well known and still a small hill, but it attracts a lot of international skiers, and I've got some good relationships with people in Australia and England, and it's just unique for that aspect and getting to know people, and we get to give them the best experience, hopefully, on the mountain. And it's just something that I've always loved doing. And not too many spouses can say this, but I actually taught my wife. So she's very comfortable all around the entire mountain. And for those of you who know, Dragon's Tongue is her favorite. It's a nice bumpy black diamond run. But yeah, I just absolutely love teaching adults. Kids, sadly, I don't have patience anymore.
Maybe I can get some lessons from you. It's been quite a while since I've been skiing.
Totally.
Both. We should just plan a day and go, because I've been snowboarding for a while and I haven't been on skis since I was a kid.
Well, we'll get to sliding, turning, no problem.
Okay, we're gonna
perfect.
Maybe before the end of the season. Okay, seriously. Okay, awesome. So, well, Raina, how was your week last week? Did you have any exciting real estate things happen to you? I know I had one. I'll tell you guys about it in a minute. But curious about.
No, it's been busy. I find that there's a lot more people right now looking at condos and townhouses. I think it's changed a little bit from everybody looking at houses, and a lot of new people getting into the market, first-time home buyers and things like that. So yeah, it's been an exciting week. What about you?
Yeah, same. I think just to touch on that, the people, like, just from recently just dealing with the people that we are dealing with, like, people are getting into these condos and townhomes, but still want everything, and people don't get it. They want to be able to rent. They want to have their pets. They want to have their hot tubs on their decks, right? So I think that's been a little challenging for us, trying to figure out things and making sure all the criteria stick for people, because every strata is so different. And I know, like, I was sifting through almost 60 listings to make sure that they allowed one dog, because, you know, it's just, we don't have the ability to split them up that way, which I think maybe send something to the board so that they do that for us, because like seriously sitting through figuring out which one allows a dog and doesn't is really.
I've been doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
dogs here too. Everyone's living that Okanagan lifestyle. Everyone has pets, and there's so many stratas where there's restrictions regarding especially dogs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't know. My week was all right. It wasn't too busy, but I was driving around a lot. So one of my clients, they've been one of those clients that you kind of have to hold their hands and, you know, help them, pop over all the time, kind of really, really hold their hand through everything. So I went to their place last year, probably at the end of summer. They told me they're going to be moving this May in 2021. So it's been kind of a monthly thing. I pop in, I say hi, we have coffee, we talk, you know, we've developed this relationship where I just pop over and we joke around. But yes, so the last time I went over there, I brought Hillary, who does all of our prepping for our photos. And she gave them a really big list. Why? Because they have a lot of stuff, and it's like a lot of stuff. So yesterday, it was about a month after Hillary's visit, and I went over there. I brought my Rubbermaid totes and garbage bags, and I spent about 2 hours there with them yesterday going through stuff. And the lady client, she has this anxiety over her things. So it was really weird, but you know what? It was just, I was helping her, but I knew I was helping her, but she had a really rough time trying to watch me go through her, like move
Probably
her.
Like separation anxiety almost.
That's exactly what she said. It's exactly it. But I'm like, I'm sorry, if you guys want top dollar, we got to get this place, you know,
Shake and span.
Well, now they have about a month before we list it. So I'm hoping that they continue on with what we started and, you know, make it look top notch.
I think we should get some realtor overalls for when we're getting down and dirty, you know, like when you're getting in those crawl spaces, looking for insulation, looking to see if there's rodents, you know, what I did this week. So
Ryan, you don't have to deal with that, hey?
No, I don't, unfortunately. I was just going through my head, maybe realtor with kilts.
Realtors with kilts.
You know that company, men with kilts? That's the same thing.
You don't need enough for that.
Get the tool belt going, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be a good brand. You should start that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of realtors wanting to join up on that one. Hey, Ryan, so what do you think about the 2 towers that are that were approved? Speaking of stratas, we're going to have more of them now on Leon.
Is there 2 or 3?
Is it 3?
I'm asking. I thought one was like a hotel and then maybe another luxury condo or 2 condos. I don't know.
I think 2 condos.
So much,
They just got approved this week?
Downtown. Yeah.
So what is it called? It's called Waters on Leon?
I think so. I think the developers from
Water Street
Edmonton.
by the park. That's what
I think it's going to be a great location. It's going to clean up downtown, which is, I think, one of the reasons the city has approved it.
Yep.
Got right to the bridge, right in front of the city park. Very attractive. There it is.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, it's 3 towers.
Yeah.
And right on Leon.
One time we get a nice hotel too, right? Like a nice luxury hotel, hopefully, would be a lot of more banquet, weddings, and that kind of stuff in the city. So
well, yeah, like when people come here, they go to the Delta, which they did do a nice reno, which is okay, but not all of it's renovated. And then where else are they going to go? The Capri. Like I've stayed there when we got evacuated with the fires, and it's okay. You know, like I don't know where else people would stay that has all the nice amenities. So yeah, it's going to be nice to have. I think it's going to look really nice driving over from the west side onto the bridge into Kelowna and seeing that. You know, like whoa, that's going to
absolutely.
It's going to look so nice.
I think it'll be a big attraction.
I think so
too. Point on the stratas. Yeah, like it's. I think it's going to be. I don't know. Can't go wrong with it. I don't know if there's any amenities with the property, but if they're catering up that high end, it's probably going to have something is very attractive, right? So
I think so.
yeah, I'm hoping it does go through, and looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's a lot of new developments and whatnot. I know in the news, I think it was yesterday in the Penticton Herald, they were talking a lot about the new 320 lot subdivision that's going right at the mouth of the Naramata Bench.
Oh.
There's a lot of controversy around it. There's some people supporting it, a lot of people just wanting to densify downtown Penticton instead of spreading out. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what's going on, but I think it's Canadian Horizons, which is the same developer that did Sendero Canyon, which has done so well here. So yeah, I'm super interested to follow up and see how that goes.
Yeah, I did read something today. I didn't follow up with it because I was getting ready for this, but how they're the city of Kelowna is going to stop the suburbs from developing more. Did you read that, Brian?
No, not yet.
I'll touch on that next time. But yeah, so maybe they are just trying to stop the spread and, you know, be more densify the interior, which is fine. I'm all for it. I'm all for all the development. I'm all for new buildings, all of it. So I'm totally pro all of it. I'm pro the Costco being bigger, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's going to be attractive. And then I don't know what the intention is with the old Costco, but I heard some rumings with a Swedish company coming here and putting a smaller store.
Ooh.
So, for those of you who know what that is, that's the rumblings I've heard from some actually private investors I have. So yeah, kind of neat.
That's exciting.
Well, you should be, you know, coming on all the time and giving us your scoop from your private client.
Ryan's scoop.
So what happened in real estate in Penticton this last week?
All right. So we had 86 new listings come to market and 38 sales. So I know this is great news for buyers because we've had such low inventory for so long. Your average single family home in Penticton sold this week for $602,000 with an average of 77 days on market. The average townhouse sold for $350,000. And apartments were pretty skewed. There was some really luxury ones that got sold this week. And so their average was $572,000 this week. So that's way up from the normal. But just looking at the listings, there's been a lot more apartments sold this week than single family homes. So interesting.
It's funny how it changes every week because I find more people are looking for apartments right now as well. But I was super excited to check out what's going on in Kelowna because we have 111 new listings this week. And I'm just like, wow, and 60 sold. So these numbers last year were head to head. Like we had the same amount selling as the same amount listing, and it started just going the opposite way. So I think people are coming out of the woodwork. It feels like springtime out there. There are a few price reductions. So we had about 21 price reductions. And you know what? That just means people, you know, either overpriced a little bit or just didn't, you know, weren't what people were looking for, I guess. But I'm really excited. I think this number is going to go up next week. And I think looking forward, it's going to be a really good spring market early. When people aren't waiting till April, they're going to be listing faster, I think. Yeah. All right. So Ryan, we're talking mortgages today, and we're not going to, you know, we always talk about the same mortgage stuff, like why use a broker? We know it's always best to use a broker, but you're going to talk to us a little bit about how you guide your clients in the right direction in terms of the types of mortgages they choose, and kind of what we talked about the other day about getting the CMHC insurance or not, right?
Right. Okay. So this is, I guess, preempted, but who wants to do a role play?
Raina.
Sure.
All right, newbie. Cool. So you be client, I'll be broker, and we'll just say you're do two scenarios, one with 20% down and one with less than 20% down. So so 20% down, first time home buyer, you have to have CMHC insurance. And that's standard in every situation in Canada. And what that insurance premium does is if for whatever reason you are unable to make the payment, they make it on your behalf. And the CMHC is in what we call first position. So the bank we place you with is not on the hook for that mortgage payment or the mortgage, CMHC is. And with that being said, CMHC has, let's say, on a $300,000 mortgage, a $17,000 mortgage premium. That's over 25 years, which is $71 a month. Big number, small number. Manageable number, yes. So what the bank does in return, they discount you the rate because it's an insured rate is what we call it. And that insurance is there until you pay out the mortgage. So at renewal, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years down the road, you're going to get insured rates. So you're going to get the best mortgage rate at the time offered by the insurers, which is CMHC. So right now, let's say an insured rate on a $300,000 mortgage, you qualify everything else, is coming in, I've seen, 1.5, let's call it. And so if it was 20% down, that's going to be different because now the bank's on the hook in case of the missed payment. So the bank doesn't give you a discount. So what I do with clients, even if they have 20% down, numerous times I guide them through, showing them the advantages of paying that small premium, even if it's 19% down or 19.5% down, just cover the premium to take advantage of that discounted rate, because you'll make that up in the first 24 to 36 months. And a great tool I always share with clients as the TD mortgage calculator. You can go on there and you can put the different scenarios, and it's fully transparent, which I love. And one of the reasons, again, what really attracts me about this business is the amount of information that is not, I guess, fabricated, because numbers, you can't really fudge them.
You don't lie.
So they don't lie. Yeah, at the end of the day, like I can show you how to save. Well, for instance, right now I'm helping a friend of mine, a pretty high-end purchase, and if he did one versus the other, I think it's like $47,000 difference in interest alone in the first 5 years. So that's a huge number. That's like someone's income,
huge.
Right? That's just in 5 years. You can break it down yearly if you wish, but that's kind of the way I guide my clients through those two different scenarios.
So we're not talking like small numbers. We're talking big numbers. Like that's
that's significant.
Totally. And then in 5 years' time, you're going to get the best, or 3 years. We always try to go, the banks, they understand the math behind when people break their mortgage. And the other day we were talking, Marika and I, at lunch, and the average Canadian breaks their mortgage about 36 months in, and 7 out of 10 people will break their mortgage. So the banks know that, so they discount the 5-year rate if it's fixed, versus where I'm leading into the fixed versus variable. The fixed rate at 36 months, you're still going to owe the amount of interest that they would have collected for that 5-year term.
Right.
That triggers automatically a penalty. That's
right.
typically what we call the IRD, interest differential penalty. And on that $300,000 mortgage, that's going to be north of, let's say, $6,000, depending on where it's broken. Where if you were to go with a variable, yeah, okay, it's floating, but your payment is floating as well. And I'll get into that. But the more important thing is with the penalty on a variable, it's 3 months interest. So a $300,000 mortgage, that looks less than $2,300. A lot easier than the $6,000, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. That's a lot of your equity and everything, right?
For
So
sure.
that's why I always guide my clients towards a variable. And even if you can get the insured variable, which is even more attractive. So those are the two real reasons why I like the insured and the variable rates.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
As a like, would a bank do the same?
Yeah, they don't have that education, because I don't want to speak to all bankers, but I think, Chris, they have to have so much fixed rate product out the door, because that's where they make their bread and butter, because they know 7 out of those 10 clients are going to break it, and that's going to be more income,
more money in their pocket.
That's why the bank makes every 90 days they turn around $1 billion in funding. So it's just crazy. And there's a lot of more behind the scenes I can get into about the business aspect of behind the Canadian banking and everything in the world. They're so secure, it's crazy, and they're really good for investing. But yeah, that's just one factor what I like to guide clients down.
See, I never knew any of this. I never knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Like, that's fantastic. And, you know, just another reason why we gear our clients towards mortgage brokers and people that we know that are very well versed. Like, this is fantastic. Anything to save our clients money is where they want to be, right?
Yeah, I'll go against a banker most of the time because people have relationship there. They bank there for 10 years, 15, 30 years, whatever. They want to get a mortgage. You've been so kind to introduce me to them, and they're still skeptical about this whole new mortgage broker thing and trying to understand why should I do all these documents and everything and trying to collect. And then once I walk them through that scenario, they were just blown away because they'd never been told that by their bank. Because
they feel safe there, right? It's a safe
thing.
They're used to it.
And unfortunately, these days, when you go to see your bank and you meet that appointment, in 5 years, you're going to see that same person. Probably not. They transfer them out, they move them and promote them. So you're not having that.
They're really young too.
They're really young.
They're like 20-year-olds.
That's my next point. A lot of them don't even have or had mortgages. They're still mom and dad's basement.
They are, yeah.
Kids and everything, the game. But let's be totally honest here. My point was they have to get so much fixed business out the door because they're probably getting hit on the back end of that. They don't have to disclose their commissions or fees or whatever. I do as a licensed broker. Everybody in the province has to. So when we sign a mortgage, we have to sign off on what Ryan gets compensated from the lender. So I would say we all know there's no cost to the borrower, but me bringing the client to the bank in return gives me the finder's fee or my commission. But on the other side, I also do all the underwriting. So it's a win-win. So that's how that all works.
So Ryan, I have a question for you then. Would you always recommend variable over fixed, or are there different scenarios where that would play out?
I'm glad you asked that question. There's 90% of my clients are in a variable. And of the 63 files I did last year, so from January to December, 3 of those actually broke it already and triggered that interest penalty. So that's a small number, but if you compound that over 5 years and you get to I get another, say, 6 this year, that's now 9 and then another 12. So now we're talking maybe 24 clients in 5 years breaking their mortgage. And I don't want them to call me and say, Ryan, what's this? I had one client last spring. I helped her and figured out with a big bank. Her mortgage was only $127,000. Her penalty was $23,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just because it's a fixed. And I don't want people to be paying that. They worked hard for their down payment. They borrowed it from mom and dad or gifted or willed it or whatever. And now it's all eaten up because of the penalty and they can't buy something. So to answer your question, 90% of my clients are in a variable. And just for those simple reasons, it's just your life is variable, your mortgage should be.
That's a
you
good
don't
way
know
of
when life
putting it.
events happen, right?
Yeah.
I think now, like, I know we're not allowed to give mortgage advice or legal advice, just real estate advice. But I mean, it's definitely something that I'm going to ask my clients now when they're, when I refer them to a broker or if they already have one, maybe just make sure you guys know the difference and what you could be saving when you do go, and your penalty. Like so I had an incident with a really good client of mine. We've sold a few properties together with him and his family. And, he buys investment condos and had them rented. And anyways, this one we decided to sell because he wanted to buy something different and something bigger. And he never asked about his penalty. And it was like, the condo was under 300 grand, but the penalty was something like $11,000 or $12,000. So it's like all that equity he built, having it rented and everything just kind of went out the drain. So it was a bummer for sure. So now I just make sure to always ask these questions, and so people know, because people don't know what to ask, I find.
Exactly. And when your clients are risk averse, and I'd say with my first purchase, I went with a fixed term mortgage, and of course locked in at a pretty good rate for 5 years. And just like you said, at the 3-year mark, yep, sure enough, I broke it. Ended up stuck with the penalty. Luckily, it wasn't too devastating. But I think your average consumer, they're just thinking, oh, I'm going to be risk averse. I'm going to lock in at a pretty good fixed rate for a long time. I'm safe. But I don't know. What do you have to say about the current interest rates? Like, how much could they potentially rise over a year period?
Or drop.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
or
one more
drop.
question. So next week, Bank Canada is going to announce, we're all anticipating another decrease, another 25 basis points. So right now, prime rate is at 2.45. So you take another 0.25 off of that, and that's what the prime rate is going to be out. And then the 5-year fixed, let's say right now, is yes, roughly that 1.5 will now be 1.25, right?
That's
Still
crazy.
attracted to lock in, but again, you're going to, if rates go up, which historically we've been in the lowest ever, and because of the pandemic and everything, but people are not in the best financial space right now because of the pandemic and everything. And so I still think a variable is going to outperform, even if it raises, let's call it 3 different times in the next 3 years, you're still going to come out ahead, because the entire time we're saving in the low rate environment we are in now, and time rates go back up, the difference between that and the fixed is still quite a bit in your favor. And for a quarter point to rise up on a $300,000 to $500,000 mortgage, what that looks like monthly is going to be like $67 or something in that range. Like it's not, it might be 100. Let's just round it to even numbers. So who can afford $100 more a month while you're saving for the last 36 months, right? So
Right.
it's just that mindset people got to understand, and that's why again I love the math and just showing people how that all makes sense.
So are there rules with the Bank of Canada as to how much they can raise it? Is it only a quarter point?
They can raise it 50 basis points.
They're allowed to raise it 50?
Yeah, but historically it hasn't been done that often. Like I want to say in the last 15 years, I think it's only happened once. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's only happened once.
So, and they
raise
raise
back to back, but
yes. So they have four times in the year that they change the interest rates, right? 8 times. Okay, so 8 times they could do. So that's 0.25 each time. Possibly could go up 8 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the last 30 years, they've only raised it, I think, 5 times in a row.
Okay.
And we're not in that raising environment. We're still in this unfortunate predicament with what we're going on with this whole COVID. So we need to invest in housing. We need to invest in our economy, and people aren't working. And are we going to raise rates? Yes. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen in 3 years? Probably.
Probably, yeah.
No crystal ball. It's not going to be dramatic. All of a sudden, boom, you're up a point.
No.
At any point during a variable, you can also stop and say, okay, I'm going to go to the fixed. And you can lock it. Right. If you're
okay, I have another question. So just regarding COVID, are you finding a lot of more people refinancing their mortgages right now?
Yeah,
just
a lot of people are to either access funds. That's another good reason why I like the variable, especially now, because we don't know what the future looks like. Yeah, okay, you might have a good nest egg, but we don't know what the COVID is. No one expected this. No one sees where this is going, and hopefully we get some handle on this. But again, to have access to your equity in your home and have that pulled, pay the 3-month interest penalty, get your 40, 60, 80, whatever grand you need to pay off the credit card, the family car, or just survive because of a loss of job or whatever. So that's always available. So that's, again, there's just so many variables in our lives that life throw curveball. We're seeing an increase in unfortunate suicides. Obviously, the spousal divorces are going up because people are staying together and getting to know their partner where they haven't because they've been working, or just tension in general. So there's a lot of that coming in play. So they're breaking it all up and just have those different, again, options instead of just having it locked in and not knowing. And yeah, okay, you're paying.
You know what? Especially if like most of the time people fight over money, right? So add that to the mix and it's just a whole huge kerfuffle, right? All right. Well, let's do some positive stuff here. Let's talk positive.
Cool. Yeah, I took that spin the wrong way.
No, it's all good.
No,
hey,
it's true.
It's
though.
reality.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's reality. It definitely is. I know today I was telling Raina, I'm just feeling like no motivation today. Like I'm making myself do stuff. Like I'm making myself drink my protein shake. I made myself go on the treadmill. I didn't want to. I had coffee in bed today. You know, it was like one of those days. And then I'm like, okay, I just got to get out of this funk and just go. Cause I'm usually really high energy and I want to do stuff, but like, it's just not, I'm
It's
not
hard
feeling
when you
it.
can't go anywhere.
And it is. And like Ontario's on lockdown starting yesterday or whatever, like 100%. And I really want to go away on a trip so badly. So I'm just like, ugh. But anyways, okay. So Ryan, I think we've covered a lot today. I started this last week. I've always wanted to interview real estate professionals, and Raina, I have to do you. Let's do you next week. Okay.
Sure.
So I came up with 10 questions. I took some from what's his name? Tim Ferriss, not Tom Ferry. There's so many names in my brain right now. And some of them I made up. So are you ready for this? 10 questions. Oh, you got it? Are you done reading that?
No, I just.
How did you know the first
myself
question?
forever.
That is one of my questions. Ryan likes to read, so I like Ryan.
How many books do you read a year, Ryan?
Last year, I was a little slower with the reading, unfortunately. Just honestly, COVID put a wrench in everyone's plans, and I don't want to elaborate too much. I can go on forever, but I did try to reach out my entire database. And it wasn't more of the broker had, it was more of just like, how can I help? Because people need help during this pandemic. And that in turn made my business a little more busy. So I didn't have the time to read as much. So to answer the question, just shy of 30 books.
I think I was about 32. Yeah. I think that's a good goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were starting your career all over again as a broker, what would you have done differently in the beginning?
I would have probably found a mentor and do like a split of commissions or something on those lines. Like many realtors, they need that guidance. There's just, you take the course, you get the book and the calculator. Like, I don't know why I have it. I've yet to open it up. It should be a burning pile.
That's the book I read last year.
Yeah, like it's useless. It gets you through the door and it weeds out the good and the bad, I guess, as far as qualifying for your licensing. But there's nothing in there that I really learned. So
I hear that.
to take that into heart, I would probably join up with a more experienced senior broker and just try to get the habits and tools. Where I did that myself. Like I did that in my previous roles and things. I understand leveraging the relationships and just gaining the different tools that I have from everybody and the systems I have in place.
It takes so much longer when you do it alone, right?
Yeah, it does. Like there's just some simple things.
Yeah.
Just simple little habits.
So what is your number one thing as a broker that gets you clients?
That gets me clients? Probably my past clients.
Okay. Not realtors?
No, it's actually surprising because I've actually enrolled in several different other education components in our space or whatever, and listening to them at meetings or conventions, and 90% of your or 80% of your business is in your business, right? Yeah. So for me, I give them hopefully what I hope the best client experience.
Yeah.
And I can touch on that because this past fall, I had one client and I got 6 files out of them. Like that's just incredible, right? And it's just, they need help. They need refinance. They're buying. And one had, I had 3 sisters I helped just because they like the touch points I have in place. And yeah, that's probably it. Most of my clients, as you can see in my bio, is when you hear the mortgage term in the conversation, I want you to smile and think of my name. And those clients are well trained, and they have, and that's where most of my database is.
That's amazing. So I guess number 3, I'm going to get rid of this question because it's best advice for a newbie. I think number 1 covers it, is, get that mentorship, right? For a new broker.
Yeah.
Maybe tag on to you. They could do some shadowing. I have people call me sometimes, like from Calgary, where I where I went to school and stuff, that they want to be a broker and they want to talk to somebody. So next time I'm going to make them call you.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy to help. There's a couple people on our team that are a little less experienced, newer to the brokering world. And yeah, and that's one thing I love about brokering. We're always talking shop And
Yes.
my wife hates it because we get into our social gathering and
Yeah.
we just spitball off each other and how we got that across the finish line. And we're always talking about work. So she doesn't
Always.
the functions and anything.
There-
It means you're passionate about what you do, though, which is a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly.
I'm always talking about real estate.
Same thing.
Okay, so any interesting books you're reading right now? What are you reading right now?
Oh, I don't have it here. I wish I had it. It's called The Rainmaker, and it's a very thin one. It's pretty easy. You could probably read it over the weekend. But Raina, as you know, my favorite probably last year was this one. Never.
I love that book.
Nice.
I think
I'm gonna
I
have to
maybe
read that.
recommended it to you. I'll give it to you, and you can have it and take a read.
And that's Never Split the Difference for everyone listening right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Ryan
by Chris
recommended that.
Foss.
He recommended that to me last year, and I read it I audibled it real quick, like a few days on the treadmill. It's a really good book, and he narrates it, so it's even better. So he's like an
just
FBI guy.
pronunciation alone on the Audible was fantastic, and I recommend it, and I bought it to most people. This first chapter just gets you sunk in, sold, and your jaw dropping. Like, okay. So it's
really
just for
good.
you to know,
Can't wait.
Chris Foss was the international lead negotiator for the FBI, and then he just wrote a book on his experiences. So.
And you wouldn't his voice is great, and he's just calm. Like, he's just amazing. Yeah, it's really good. All right. What does your typical day look like? Any routines, rituals that we need to know about that we can, add to our rituals and routines?
5 a.m. club.
Are you part of that? I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah,
You can't get there yet.
No, I don't want
I'm
to.
a morning person.
I used to.
Yeah. So morning habits, just basically get up early, have that quiet time. What really I saw a light that really came on and stuck with me is having that big tall glass of water with lemon in it, and this helps you get everything moving properly in the morning and rehydrating because you've slept for hopefully 8 hours and you just need to quench everything and get everything going through. So that's a good thing. That's like move every day. That's another part. Like whether it's yoga, hike, or whatever, our bodies are meant to move. As I'm here now, I'm at my stand-up desk because I don't want to sit down and get into the back pains and that kind of stuff. So move every day. That's another piece of advice I recommend everybody. Drink more water and move.
Yeah, I keep a big water bottle by my bed. Every night I fill it up, and I won't leave my bed in the morning until it's done. So I just like down it in the morning, and then I feel like I need water. Okay, so if you had a billboard that could send a message to the world, what would your billboard say? A quote or, a one-liner, whatever.
That's a very good question.
That's
There's two things that stand out. One that came to me as you were asking the question, and I've remember saying this back in my schooling days. Perception is everything. So how you perceive people and how people perceive you. I had in my previous roles, I had a client go to the Vancouver boat show. He showed up in gumboots, a wind jacket, almost kind of borderline homeless. But if you didn't know him, man, he also had 60 helicopters as his business in northern Alberta, and he was escorted off the ground. The sales staff thought he was there just bugging people.
Just because of how he looked?
Because he looked. And so he was so insulted, he went to his bank, grabbed $100,000 cash, went back there the next day and said, I want to buy that boat. He escorted me off the lot. What do I need to do? That's true, honest God story. From that point on, I'm like, yeah, perception is everything. You can't put a pedestal on somebody if you don't know them. And
it's
that's
unfortunate.
just one story of many that I can honestly share with you.
I find like there's so much judgment in the world people don't know. And that's the one thing I focus on all the time is don't be judgmental. And I catch myself, like I'll see something and I'll catch myself but I'm aware of it now. And there's no way, I just won't go there. It makes me sick and it's disgusting. Like I just feel disgusted when I see people being judgmental. I hate it because they don't know. Nobody knows anything. right? Based on looks or whatever, anything. Okay.
So that's my mind. Perception is everything.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that.
Okay, a couple more here. Is there anything that you dislike about your job?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's an ongoing thing in our industry. As you get a little more down the line, hopefully you get a good relationship with your underwriters. And at the beginning, it can be a little hard. And actually, it happens quite often. You might get a job letter that reads Rob, and his ID say Robert. They don't match. And some underwriters are firm, and like that just blows my mind. It's just, are you kidding me? You're going to put us all this stuff because Robert and Rob don't really align. That was the past. It's kind of evolved since then, but just the tedious stuff like that is like, okay, I've developed this. I've sent you 40 some files this year as an underwriter. You've got to know them weekly, daily sometimes. And for you to send in a nice package and then they question on that kind of stuff is like, yeah, I get where you're going at, but at the end of the day, you could also just look the other way. I know there's some probably legality things around it, but just some things like that are just like so annoying. Another one is just when you get to the finish line and all of a sudden something happens and you can't because either they spent their down payment or they
Bought a car.
Yeah, or they got swept up by the bank that they were negotiating with, and then they weren't completely honest with you, and they went back to that bank and saying, well, the broker got me this. Well, we'll beat that. So stuff like that just kind of gets you.
Shady
But
stuff.
you gotta have thick skin. Gotta have thick skin, I guess, to answer your question. Yeah.
Thick skin. Okay, last question. What are 2 things that you're grateful for today?
Well, speaking of intuition is you two ladies, but 2 good things I'm grateful for today. We're here in the middle of COVID in Kelowna. We're all able to at least go outside. We still live in the beautiful city and experience. I think most of Kelownians are more active and healthy, so we get to have that, and hence the lower cases of COVID in the area. So I'm grateful that we have the community we're living in, and just be able to take advantage of our surroundings. And then secondly, the 2 people who I do this for every day is my wife and my son.
Aww,
Oh,
his
that's
son
awesome.
is so cute. Okay, I'm gonna do a selfie. You guys ready?
Yeah.
That's my setup.
There you go.
Hey, that's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan. You provided some amazing insights and everything. Where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
Best is just my website, which is my name, ryanavery.ca. And from there you can find my contact and everything. Or just Google Ryan Avery Kelowna and I'll be there too. So happy to help. Any questions anytime. Full transparency, full disclosure. And yeah, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want my time wasted.
That's the way we roll.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Perfect.
Ryan.
And if you want to reach out to Marika, you can reach her at liveokanagan.com or myself at southokanaganliving.ca. And if you like this episode, don't forget to leave us a review and subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of the Okanagan Real Estate Podcast.
Woohoo.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.